He is out of Fresno, Ohio.
Well, John, that run is what this sport is all about, son. You flat painted a nose in the sand down there.
Yeah, my son-in-law said, whatever you do, put your front wheels in the sand. He says, let the sand stop you.
Son, you did exactly what he did. You must have a good family relationship because you did exactly what he told you to do.
Yeah, we do. And then I got two other guys on my pit crew. I don't know how they got in tractor pulling. One's a TV repairman and the other one's a John Deere service manager. And they told me the same thing, and I just got to do what they tell me.
All right, so we have had one full pull. We've got 4 tractors to go. More coming your way on Power Tracks and ESPN.
Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you.
Welcome back to Louisville's Freedom Hall. We are in the Pro Stock Tractor Competition, and if you just joined us, you missed our first full pull of the night. That was performed by John Lorenz in the Sneaky Snake International Harvester Tractor, but now all the fans dressed in green are getting ready to cheer on Chris Little out of Tuscola, Illinois. It's called the War Wagon.
Well, I believe everybody is going to be pulling for
What's
Chris.
he
He's
doing
defending national champion. He's just firing it up with ether. He shoots a little ether in to get the engine going. The man sitting in the full pull position is the only guy not pulling for him. The reason being, Chris won the class last year, would like to make it 2 in a row. As you said, if you're wearing green, you got a smile on your face because the War Wagon's carrying your colors. And look at this run. The ground speed there. The weight comes up on him. Chris going to go all the way out of this thing, Richard. 2 in a row.
We have got another full pull. This one by Chris Little. And look at those John Deere fans cheering for him. He has made it back-to-back full pulls in Louisville, Kentucky. He is going to be happy with that distance. But, Army, I noticed a little bit of problem, a lot of smoke coming out of the machine. Let's go down and get the word from Chris Little with Army.
Chris had a little problem on the starting line. The John Deere people had their fingers crossed, but in about 10 seconds later, you had them standing on their feet in Louisville, Kentucky.
Well, I had a little trouble. She didn't want to take the water today. I don't know what happened, but I may have a little problem here. It don't sound just quite right, but I got her out once. We're going to give her another shot, maybe. We'll see what happens.
So if anybody's got any questions about John Deere, you've proven them. They can flat make some horsepower.
Well, we've had real good luck down here, and we're going to do our best. We're going to give it our best shot.
We'll let you and the crew get back to work. Hope you get to make it back in the pull-off.
Thanks a lot.
So John Lorenz joins Chris Little, both of them with full pulls. We'll see them a little bit later on in a pull-off. These Pro Stock tractors, a very popular division on this circuit. And Army spent time earlier today with one of our drivers in another division, Dennis Schramick, to discuss the Pro Stock Tractor division and the vehicles you see running.
Dennis Schramick runs in the Pro Stock category, one of the most interesting classes in the sport. The reason being, you don't get to see them that much indoors because they call them smokers. Louisville, it's an exception. Dennis is going to explain to us exactly what a Pro Stock tractor is. Dennis, could you give a brief explanation of where all the horsepower comes from?
Well, it comes from a number of places. When this tractor was come out new, it come out with approximately 130 horse. And with the modifications we used, we can get this horsepower up to nearly 1,000 in that area. And the differences is we can go to a larger turbo, and then we can modify the fuel system, which will deliver like 10 times the amount of fuel that it comes from the factory. And we use a 24-inch rear tire size limit. Now that's a limitation. We also use a safety device here. If something happens, the hitch breaks or something, this is an air shut-off, and it'll shut the air off to the engine.
The rear tire combination, that's kind of unique in the sport to actually have a rule on the width of the tire. Why is that?
Well, I think the wider tires are more or less left up to the bigger super stock tractors, and that just gives the Pro Stocks just a lower limitation.
So we are down to our final 3 competitors in this division, Army. Coming out next is going to be another John Deere tractor, Greg Freeze. He is out of Manchester, Tennessee. It's called the Freeze Farms tractor, and I'll tell you, that was an interesting piece you did there with Dennis.
Well, I'll tell you, these tractors are very, very interesting to me. What he said, the fact that they'll come out with 130 horsepower, and you don't do anything externally except add 1 turbocharger, and they'll generate 2,000 horsepower. I can't think of any other motorsport form that'll make that much horsepower where you don't have to make a whole lot of changes. These things are just great to watch. They really get after it.
And it's going to take a full pull by our final 3 drivers to get into a pull-off. Greg Freeze is not going to do it, Army.
He worked the left side of the track. A good run for him, but Like you said, you got to go all the way if you're going to go to the second round of this party.
215.83 for Greg Freeze. So the John Deere people are continuing to sit on their hands as you saw the green hats in the audience here in Freedom Hall. This is Scott Snyder, good-looking kid out of Edison, Ohio. It is called the Road Farmer. It also is a John Deere.
The John Deere's still trying to find the right combination to get on the other end. We've got one of them. Little is already out here with the John Deere, so we know it can do it. The question is, how do you get the horsepower to stick to the track? Amount of ground speed is awesome here, Richard. You know, after you're watching all the big automobile engines run, you come in, you watch one of these run at the single engine. It's just amazing the amount of horsepower they can lay down, and he nets a 219. Will not be in a pull-off, but I know he's got to be kind of tickled with that run.
Scott Snyder, 219.33. That is the War Wagon driver, Chris Little. He is already assured of being in the pull-off as we have got one to go.
Richard, we just heard there's a possibility Chris may not be back. He and the crew are discussing they may not come back for that pull-off. That could be tough.
Engine problems.
Well, we don't know. Well, the word is rumored around that the John Deere may not make it back, but carrying the colors again for John Deere, look who's coming out now. This kid can hammer you real hard.
All right, that's going to be Rudy Huber out of Tuscola, Illinois. It is called the Midnight Flyer, and he's letting her loose.
Notice the intensity of Rudy on that starting line. He was checking all the gauges, working the center of the track. Ground speed's not going to be there, Richard. A unique situation. That's a good run. He started hooking and coming over. He's taking it as far as he can, but only a 215.63 for Rudy.
So Rudy Huber is not going to do it. Look here. Chris Little is shaking the hands of John Lorenz. Chris is not going to be able to come back for the pull-off. So John Lorenz is going to be the winner. Disappointment for Chris Little as his engine has broken down and he will not be able to pull off against John.
Any win's a good win, and you are the winner tonight. We understand Chris will not be back for the pull-off.
Well, I'm sorry that Chris is broke, but I'm sure glad to be the winner. Chris won this class last year. Last year was our first year down here, and we came in fourth and disappointed. We really had our hearts set on doing a little better this year, and so I'm really pleased.
So our congratulations to John with his win. Here's our final top five. In fifth place tonight, Dennis Schnichter. Fourth went to Scott Snyder. Third place, Roland Barr. Second went to Chris Little, who could not make it into the pull-off. The winner was John Lorenz.